Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including RWBY, which we'll be getting into right now. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Hayley Nabuurs.
Hello.
And Indy Potter.
Hello.
RWBY, once again, here talking about Volume 6, Episode 8 of RWBY, Dead End. Yep. I guess, it's a dead end in their quest to get to Atlas.
Yeah.
Sure. We talk about RWBY every week here on the Overly Animated Podcast. Find us at overlyanimated.com. Search for Overly Animated RWBY on iTunes to subscribe there, or on our YouTube at youtube.com/overlyanimated. Post all our podcasts YouTube. If you if you don't want to miss any of our RWBY recaps, we've been covering RWBY every week here this season and previous seasons, and we've been loving Volume 6. I say that not actually, I'm not being sarcastic. We've been loving Volume 6. So, spoilers for Dead End. It premiered today on Rooster Teeth First. Make sure you've seen this episode and all previous episodes of RWBY. But let's get into things here. Haley, what did you think of Dead End?
I think Dead End makes 8 for 8. It was a quiet
8 for
episode,
8. Wow.
But a good episode. Like, bow down to RWBY 2018. It's amazing. Yeah, no, I liked it. I think it was legitimately funny at the start, which I was surprised by that, because normally I find the show doesn't really make me laugh too often. But just as we'll refer to her now, Maz Kanata, bringing that back, she's my favorite character. And I love her humor of like, the dark humor of like, oh, well, hopefully she died since I last talked to her, like about the general. That I was in stitches. So, I just love like dark humor like that. And she delivers. So that was very funny. Yeah, I think it was it was like a bridging episode, I think, of our old kind of, I guess, mid-season finale of last week to this new storyline that we're going into. And I think it was good. I think it was smart of them to make sure that the rest of the crew knew what was going on, which is nice. They're taking care of that. And also to not show us the explanation, like just dive right into, like, they know what's going on and everything. Yeah, and we've got more Silver Eyes, which is great because they're actually delivering on that. So overall, quite pleased with it. It was a solid episode.
Solid episode, says Haley. Okay. Andy, what did you think of Dead End?
It was good. I think I like this episode. I don't think it's the best episode of the season, but I don't think it's the worst episode of the season either, which is great because this is one of those episodes of RWBY that usually bores me to death usually, because it's just kind of an exposition episode. We're just talking.
It could have been so bad.
It could have been so bad, but RWBY it's hitting their stride with like they're talking about things that I care about. Like they had this thing where like they had an aside where RWBY told Weiss again, like, we're going to stay by your side the whole time. Like those are the type of conversations I want them to call back to. Those are the things I want them to be like, yeah, we want to see Team RWBY care for each other. We want to see at least, I guess I don't want to see this, but I think it did pay off well seeing Jon mad about Oz, because I do think Team Injure has much more reason to be mad at Oz than anyone else we've seen so far, considering Pyrrha is dead. But overall, I like this episode. I don't really get the symbolism or whatever type of imagery they were trying for with the Maz Kanata talk about the Silver Eyes, but I did like that scene in the backyard. It was very pretty.
Okay, we'll try to figure out what the butterfly is the symbol for.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not alone then, because the butterfly, I had no idea. Idea.
Look, we'll figure it out together. That's the purpose. We'll dig into the symbolism. Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. Yeah, this is 8 for 8 as me as well. I'm quite happy with this episode. It's not standout spectacular, but I think this is subtly one of the most impressive episodes of RWBY because of what you guys have talked about, which is that typically this type of episode on the show is not good. This is the quiet exposition humor attempt, and none of those things have really been successful in the past. I mean, obviously the show, when we say it hasn't been successful, we're hyperbolizing a little bit. It's moderately successful, but not tremendously successful. But here we're kind of hitting on all strides in all the aspects of the show, and Dead End shows me more aspects of RWBY. Like last week I talked about the scene where they get to the city and they're outside and it's gorgeous with these shots, very like it wasn't necessary to the plot, but it showed me something that I didn't know the show was capable of. And same thing for this episode. That's why I think Dead End is one of the most impressive episodes of the show. I didn't really know it was capable of having successful humor in the beginning like it did. It's kind of a knock on previous episodes, but the show is never overtly funny. And you could argue this is like the funniest scene of the show, I think, in the beginning. I wasn't like laughing out loud the entire time, but it was, I think it was a successful humor scene. And then most importantly is this RWBY and Maria talk at the end, which I adored. The aesthetically, really, like the butterflies. I agree. I don't know what we're getting into there, but just the music, the butterflies, the shots that we choose. I was absolutely in love with that scene. Oh my God. That was some of my favorite, visual work, sound work, everything from the show. And it turned what is typically, this campfire scene of Ozpin or Crow explaining things and it turned it into just this visual spectacle. And also the writing was okay too. I thought it was like one of the more well-written exposition-y type scenes we'd seen. Not only all that, but there's one other thing this episode does, which I think was just sorely missing, which is I think this is the best RWBY character as Ruby Rose episode in
for sure.
ages, in seasons. She was... Oh my God! She actually
we spent time with her.
she talks about herself, and I think she's letting everyone down. She has the incredible moment with Weiss. Side note: that scene with Weiss, I think, is also the best White Rose scene of the show. Combat Skirts is another contender, but like that's everything I was looking for with RWBY and Weiss talking.
And she like stands up to Jon when he's hurting Oscar too. I think that was great for her like
for RWBY,
leadership thing, right?
Yeah, and then she's just getting into talking about her abilities, talking about herself with Maria. This was sorely missing from RWBY as a character who hadn't been particularly great, but I thought this was an excellent scene and episode for her.
I really love how that scene starts with her like trying to call Crow and then throwing the phone. Like she's finally expressing things that aren't just like peppiness. Like she was clearly upset, but not just like angry at the world. She was like clearly upset that she didn't know what the answer was. And like I understood what she was feeling, and that's different for RWBY, that's for sure. Like RWBY the character, I mean.
Yeah, this episode continues the RWBY frustrated / concerned about Crow and his drinking, which is a good, which we enjoyed, but that was like all we were doing with her before, and now that combined with like majority other stuff, including getting into her abilities, getting into her mindset, now it's kind of all clicking with this character. So, this is a big deal. This is the main character of the show, so exponentially increasing the quality of her characterization is something that is elevating the season even further. I think that we are at this point, again, we're still not necessarily sure if they're going to stick the landing, but I think at this point, this is kind of far and away the best season of the show at 8 episodes.
Oh, hands down.
Yeah.
And it definitely feels like they're building to something. It feels like they really planned this out. Like they have a thematic idea of what we're going to do next. And I'm enjoying that.
Yeah, I am impressed with the potential season planning here. We don't really know exactly where we're going yet, but it all feels natural. Another aspect is this is an episode where we're like in the same location as before. We're like in the same house as before, but we do it like that was something we were very frustrated by last season, but we do something completely different from last season. We're also in a completely different location of the house, which is like another important thing. Like we're in the backyard and we're talking about something we care about with the Silver Eyes, and we're getting other characters involved than were the focus last time. It's just, it's so starkly different from the flaws of how this type of thing previously went. Like really just firing on all cylinders here, especially like the animation production side of things. Like it just continually so impressed with the work Rooster Teeth is doing in that area. Let's talk about this RWBY and Maria scene. This is kind of the crux of the episode here. And many blue butterflies going around. We get this one shot of RWBY like in the background with the butterfly in front towards the end. And we start with wind chimes, and then we get into this music. I love the music too that we eventually get into here. Just the sound design, I think, left a lot of breathing room for the content of the scene, which was fantastic. At the same time, very like calming, and framing of the scene was it allowed for that as well. RWBY, she said she feels like she's letting everyone down. Maria says she's too hard on herself. Just like the fact, it seems basic, but we'd really not done this with her in 2 seasons. So this is really good stuff here, I think. We get into the Silver Eyes talk. So this is what we've been waiting for with the Silver Eyes teacher, Maria. And she says, RWBY knows, what does RWBY know? RWBY knows that Silver Eyed people are legendary warriors. And that she turned the wyvern Wyvern into stone. Did we call it that before? I don't remember.
No, this is a new name for it. We finally talked about this thing that happened in season 3.
It's a dragon. Well, I don't know why we have to call it the wyvern. It's a lizard dragon, apparently.
I guess.
Why don't just call it a dragon? So it's...
This is the magic rules for dragons, wyverns, Dylan.
Wyvern.
I think I'm Googling it now, but I think wyvern is a name for a dragon.
Yeah,
it's
a
winged.
I had to Google it. It's like it's a thing, but why, just
they're trying to be fancy.
We could just call it a dragon. Okay. Rhea learns. Maria says she learned about Silver Eyes from her dad. And that so they agree. We talked about this last week. I don't really need to get into it. It was implied last week, specifically stated this week. Salem is actively seeking to destroy Silver-Eyed people.
Yep.
But I'm fine with the show doing this because we've had so much where they don't explicitly tell us what's actually going on, where I'm not that upset about it.
Oh no, I'd prefer this. I think this is an actively good thing because Ruby is Ruby should never. Miles should never be worried about over-explaining things because so often we do not. We under-explain everything. So please give me details. And I thought there was a new angle to this to a certain extent, which was we referenced Maria's dad and this in relation to the fact that they always thought that why aren't there more? So this gives me the impression Salem has been doing this for eons, she's always been killing silver-eyed people. So I think that's kind of a new aspect. It's not just a current thing, which is interesting.
Also, I really liked her backstory. It was really, I felt like it was a very natural thing to tell RWBY. It was really cool how she was I got the best score of the day for my Huntsman exam, and I thought that was a really cool touch.
Yeah, that felt natural. That when she started getting into that and then into her semblance, I'm like, okay, this is RWBY.
The semblance went a little far, I think, but I liked everything before the semblance.
Yeah, it felt natural enough. I thought it was fine. And it was, especially because the scene was gorgeous, then it all kind of it works there. Maria's semblance is reflexes.
I like that she at least said, well, that's my silly name for it. Thank you. That's, I appreciated that. Because rather than it just being reflexes, it's she's it's just she reacts to things quickly and she nicknamed it reflexes. Because I feel normally they present it oh, this is the reflex semblance. Everyone has this.
Yeah. But, I agree. That felt like she naturally discovered things about it. Yeah. That's a more natural presentation of semblances than we'd had before. But, I really don't care what her semblance is. But I guess I care because we saw the flashback last week. Yeah, that was good. I thought her semblance would be connected to her magnetic weapon at first, but I guess it's an extension
her weapon's
of that.
Just cool.
It's just her weapon's cool and the reflexes allows her to use that well. Yeah. Effectively, which I like the concept. That was fine. Best line of the episode. RWBY says, "So how do I laser beam monsters with my eyeballs?"
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's such a good line.
This is classic.
She's been holding that in for 3 seasons.
Oh yeah, this is classic RWBY. This RWBY Rose. This line.
She's I know this happened right when one of my friends died, but I really need to know this.
How do I laser beam monsters with my eyeballs? Yeah, that's a lot. I think sometimes we go a little over the top, goofy with RWBY and don't have other aspects of her character. But this episode shows that when you have depth to her character, you can get these over the top lines, and that's why we love.
Yes,
RWBY.
it fits with her.
Yeah, that's she's this real person. She has these. She has issues. She's dealing with things like everyone else, and then also she's kind of zany, over the top, energetic, and that's why I love RWBY. RWBY is one of my favorite characters in any media. Maybe you're listening to the podcast for years and you don't even know that I love RWBY Rose so much. That's because I have been given no reason to talk about her. But yes, I was just very, very happy that one of my fave along with Weiss had a really fantastic episode here. She says, so then we're getting into Maria explaining things, and she says, the desire to preserve life fuels the light inside you. So this is also implied from 2 episodes ago, I'd say, or I don't remember the horror episode, right? Maria was trying to tell her how to trigger it, and she's think of how much you love everyone. So it's the desire to preserve life, and we connect that to the God of Light's eyes. And we get this flashback to the flashback episode where we see the God of Light kind of expunge Grimm with this light thing. Now, this was interesting because she's like, Maria's like, "Oh, did you catch it? Did you remember?" Which, to a certain extent, seemed like an nod at the audience. Did you pick this up before? Which is interesting because what us on this podcast and everyone else in the fandom, I think, took out of the flashback episode, the origin story episode, was that the Ozpin's children, are the ones with silver eyes. So that's what we thought you would talk about here, but that's not what we got into. We got into the power originates from the god of light. Andy, what did you think of that?
I think we talked about this on the podcast that this seemed likely. I kind of like the idea of it, and I like how it leads into how her power works. And I also really like how they present it. I usually don't like these like flashback type things, but I do like that we did it here because it was specifically done to show us that the animation was similar to something we'd already seen. It was just making sure that we saw it correctly. And I think that's fine, especially because it was only a couple of seconds. I think it was a good way to show while also telling somehow. It was interesting.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the visual connection is what makes that work. Yeah, because it's like, oh, that does look like Silver Eyes. That's kind of cool. So and I'm fine with flashing back to a fantastic episode too. And it was brief, and it was also like framed in like for Ruby's perspective. Ruby's remembering this, and it's like, oh, did you remember Ruby? Which is what Maria's saying. Hayley, what do you think of the powers coming from the God of Light?
I think it makes sense. I think even if our previous theory about it being related to like Ozpin's lineage still could be possible because Ozpin gets his power from the God of Light, right? So like it could be one and the same. But either way, it's logical. And I like the visual callback. I forget who it was, but someone on the Discord previous to the episode posted that comparison shot. So good on you. Forget your name, but I definitely see it. And it's nice too because it shows as well that they really have thought this through and are animating things to match with previous things and have them connect, which is great for a season perspective.
Yeah.
And logic in general.
Yeah, my main reaction is exactly what you said. I think this fits with our previous theory. Like, I think
it doesn't disprove it.
God of Light gave Ozma this immortality ability or whatever. I don't remember exactly. So, I still think it's the Ozma's descendants coming from the source being the God of Light. Yeah,
exactly. Because Maria's explanation for it still doesn't explain how it got from the God of Light to them.
Right. Okay. I actually don't really. I don't care like that it comes from the God of Lights. This wasn't a big thing for me. I'm like, how? Okay, so what specifically makes a person have it? Is it's a genetic lineage thing? Like that's what we think it is, or is it something else? So I'm interested if we get into that.
It seems like it's genetic. She got it from her dad. It seems like, and I think that just adds to the show right now because so far this season, the mythology elements have made not sense, but we understand them as an audience, and that really makes it so that the plot really breathes a lot better because we're not worried about why any of this works because we're more focused on how is Maria and Ruby connected? How is Osmond connected? And it makes it a lot more interesting to watch now, and I really like it.
Mm-hmm. And it may bring back, this was like a long time ago, but I remember there used to be a lot of discussions about like what was up with Ruby's mom or even her dad. But if it's genetic, maybe that'll bring that storyline back into it.
I was expecting Summer to get brought up here, actually, and I was surprised that she wasn't. But also, of note, they mentioned the lantern in this conversation, which I think is important, because I think they're hinting at what Ruby might be asking the lantern later.
Yes, that's possible. Yeah, she says she has one question left. That's a Chekhov's one question, so we're probably going to hit on that this season.
I also really like
with the show. With the show could be next season or something. But yeah.
But I do like that they're implying that this question is Ruby's to ask. I like that.
That's true.
Yeah.
I like that too. Yeah.
Gives her the agency.
Yeah. I agree with the discussion about Summer. That I was also thinking that since it's from Maria's dad, it implies that Ruby would have gotten it genetically, probably not from Ty, probably from although the Ruby's dad conspiracy theorist, probably from Summer, and
probably Summer.
I do think Summer is going to be a plot point in the future on the show, and also Summer is Zoe, don't at me, and so we're going to get back to that. Okay, so it comes from the God of Light, and next important thing, the light it only works in the presence of Grimm. Think of the light as a way to protect the people of Remnant. That all makes sense coming from the God of Light, God of Creation, in the presence of Grimm. And then Ruby says, but my eyes reacted to Cinder at Haven.
Okay.
And then Maria says maybe it was something you just weren't seeing. So, okay, first thing so I was confused at first because it's been a few years and the show likes to reference things and assumes I remember exactly when things happened.
Like 5 years ago.
Cinder did not have her Grim arm in volume 3. That's the important thing. So
yes.
I was like, oh, Cinder has a Grim arm. Of course it reacted. No, Cinder did not have her Grim arm in volume 3. That's why this is confusing to RWBY.
Yes.
Okay, Andy, what's your take?
I at first, before RWBY asked the question, I just assumed that the Grim being around her at the tower was enough. Like there were Grim.
Yeah, that's
involved.
also true. There's also just Grim all over the city. So yeah.
Yeah, but it seems Maria seems to, or the writers seem to be implying that there's more to that is here. That actually Cinder is what triggered the eyes. So the obvious conclusion is that it's either has to do with the maidens. The maidens can trigger it as well, or that's something to do with the deal she made with Salem. Like maybe there's more. Maybe there is a part. Maybe there's like some part of them that's Grim just from working with Salem. That she has an arm, but that's just extra because she lost her arm.
Yeah, I think the first logical step would be Cinder is actually part Grim.
Yeah.
More so than her arm.
Yeah.
I don't really know how that works, but since Salem is involved, it seems possible.
Yeah.
It may explain why Cinder's working for Salem, because maybe their like history together goes further back than we know. Like maybe there's something to do with Grim. I don't know.
It could be that Salem tried to like make people.
Yeah,
You know what I
right.
mean?
Like something like that.
Because she was alone for a while. Maybe there's some part of like she tried to make people from.
Do
Grim.
we know where Cinder came from?
No, we don't. We know
but it
nothing
could also
about her.
explain why. I think was it last episode where she was talking with Neo, and Cinder said like she can't disobey Salem, basically.
Yeah.
So maybe that isn't just, I think we talked about this as well, that it's probably not just an allegiance thing. It might actually be like she'd be hurt in some way if she disobeys.
Yeah. Wow, yeah,
And that could be 'cause she was a
maybe
byproduct.
Cinder is a Grim person and was like created by
Maybe.
Salem.
She could be like a homunculus or something. Like like because she was like alone. Salem was alone in the world for a while, and she just maybe wanted
She wanted a daughter. She
or
lost her
yeah.
daughters.
Yeah, and
Wow.
she made something like Cinder.
It's actually really interesting.
And she's like, and now Cinder, her Grim daughter, is like avenging, or not avenging, but going after Salem's previous daughters of the maidens. Oh,
this
could be big.
like we're saying this, and I actually
like
think
there's evidence to support this.
Yeah.
I think the important thing is that we're like excited by the theory, right?
Well, it would also explain why Cinder's able to have a Grim arm, because I feel like humans shouldn't be able to have like a Grim.
Seems like something you shouldn't be able to have. Yeah.
Right, but it would explain it. But we never
questioned
questioned it. But
yeah, we never questioned it.
No.
Yeah, it's also possible it's not something involving Cinder being Grim, but
it could be something else we don't know.
Yeah, 'cause she's something you just weren't seeing. That makes it seem like it's something that was there.
Deeper,
It wasn't like it's like RWBY couldn't have seen that Cinder was Grim. Maybe there's something like a presence there that RWBY didn't know about.
This also might explain why Cinder's name is stupidly Fall and she's the Fall Maiden.
Yeah,
because Salem named her.
Okay.
Either way, I'm on the bandwagon of Cinder is Salem's Grim baby.
Salem's Grim baby. Yeah, it's a fun theory. Yeah. Okay, so she knew she wanted to create someone in order to become the maiden vessel. So and it would start with Fall. So she named her Fall. Okay. Yeah. That's still stupid, but okay.
Oh no, it's so stupid. It's stupid.
Yeah. Okay. So
it explains why Cinder's following her and has to obey everything she says.
Yeah, it's true. It does bring that together.
Does.
Since Cinder backstory episode.
Yeah.
You'd think we wouldn't have a third backstory episode, but who knows?
But
you never know.
Backstory episode, because I mean we know nothing about Cinder.
Please, this show can give me as many backstory episodes as it wants. It's so much better at them. So please continue to give me a backstory.
Maybe that's what the back. Like we know we had that trailer. We saw like the people from Little Miss like watching somebody. Maybe it's gonna be Cinder. Maybe they've seen her before or something.
Yeah, maybe we'll be bringing the Spider Intelligence Network back, and they'll actually be relevant to the show. Who knows? Okay,
I'm being hopeful that they aren't just random people that were just thrown in for an episode.
We will see. Okay, so we have the Cinder is Grim Baby, Salem's Grim Baby theory. So let us know in the comments what you think of that theory. I don't know. I haven't been looking as much at like the CO or Reddit reaction today, so I haven't really seen that. If that's
I have not
positive.
seen that theory.
Okay. So we'll see. At the end of the episode, Oscar is missing.
Yes.
I don't care.
Bye, Oscar.
I think this is kind of a logical progression of the plot we've been seeing, especially now that Team Injure is mad at him.
Yeah, this actually it feels right. Yeah.
I don't know where we're going with this, but I'm kind of expecting a solo RWBY Oscar scene to happen soon.
Bringing Rose Garden back?
Yeah, I was about to say Hayley's interested.
I don't think romantic, but I have a feeling that she's going to be the one to find him, and there's going to be some kind of conversation there. Maybe even nice. With Oscar.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Okay, so yeah, Oscar's missing. That ties back to Jon being mad at him. So we finally got this thing from the intro where Jon is mad at Oscar. And
it wasn't awful.
I thought it was actually pretty satisfying.
It was pretty good. Like, it was just, he wasn't, normally I feel like in scenes like this with Jon, I'm like, cool down, buddy. Like, he's overreacts to things a lot. But this was actually, like, logical what he was doing. Yeah, no, I think it was good.
Yeah, so
especially seeing it in the trailer or the opening and being worried about it.
Yeah, it starts with Njur telling Njur about Ozpin. I actually thought this episode was very satisfying from like a week to week perspective because we're like, okay, they don't know about Ozpin. We're gonna have to tell them about Ozpin, and also is like just tell the people at the base that you have Weiss with you, like duh. So and they did that too. Did. Yeah. So that all you know, like often sometimes it's like, oh, why don't we just do this? Oh, the show didn't do that, you know, like. But this week it fell into like logical expectations of what would happen. So yeah, we told them Jon is upset. He punches the wall. Then he pins Oscar to the wall, and RWBY gets mad at him.
RWBY. Defending her one true love.
Look at this. Her two bays are fighting, Hayley.
Right? What a struggle.
Aren't you conflicted about which one to root for?
No, white rose forever.
That wasn't one of the options in this scene, but yeah, that would be preferred.
Seen previous.
It was in the, yeah, that's true. So you like this, Andy? Jon being upset here?
I think I liked it more. I liked more that the entire team was upset.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was like all of Njur was mad, just in different ways. So it felt less like it really felt like they lost a teammate. I really understood how it just made more sense why they were mad. That's all it really was. Because Team RWBY is like, you've interacted with Ozpin a little bit, but like he just told you to go on like a cool adventure. He actually just straight up killed Pyrrha. Like,
yeah. So the thing is that they don't talk about Pyrrha here.
No.
Yes. But I think it's implied. I mean,
yeah, I think it's implied. I saw some people upset they didn't talk about Pyrrha. I think bringing her up is just such a big emotional thing for all the characters that it's a little distracting for the scene. So implying like Njur has a particular reason to be mad at Ozpin because of Pyrrha. Yeah. Hayley, what do you think about Jon after the scene? Do you like him more or less, the same?
Like the same, which is good because last week I was very happy with him, actually. Like, I'm honestly shocked at myself, but he's just very inoffensive and he's acting like a rational person, kind of.
So let me give my take. So yeah. I think Jon has been very vanilla before this for a while. Like, he's just very inoffensive, like you said. I actually think he was unsympathetic in the scene. I don't think we know Oscar's not at fault. He punches the wall like, okay, Jon, you're overreacting, and he pins Oscar to the wall. Like, that's not okay. Like, he's being way too aggressive. That being like, he's unsympathetic. I don't like him, but that being said, it was way more interesting than anything we've done with Jon in the past 2 seasons. So I think that was good because I didn't like him, but that's better than not caring about him. You know?
I think the scene worked as well because I think if I'm trying to look at it from his perspective, he hasn't been hanging out with Oscar and he didn't see that Ozpin like retreated. So he doesn't know about that, first of all. I think he definitely overreacted, but it kind of played into the scene too and allowed the rest of our characters, namely RWBY, to be like kind of turn against Jon for a second there, which I think was effective.
Yeah, RWBY's reaction was good. I agree that Jon's emotions at learning about this are understandable. However, the way he channeled his emotions with kind of this way pseudo-masculine, way too over-the-top punching. Yeah, like, I'm going to punch this wall. I'm going to pin this child against the wall. It's like, that's unacceptable, I think Jon.
The punching the wall, like, how dare you hurt this beautiful gay couple's house.
Your sister's house. What are you doing?
I hope there's just like a painting over it. Like he buys her and gives you like the painting over it.
Yeah.
So I would like to say Jon's behavior is very bad, and it makes me not like him. But I think that is better. Yeah, I do think it's better than just what we've been doing with
good
him.
Viewing. It's like, and also I think I'm better okay with it because of Ren telling Jon it's not right that he's doing this. Like somebody calls him out for it. And he realizes, like, yeah, this is a step too far, and he just leaves the situation.
Yeah, that's good. And RWBY also getting mad at him is good because that hug was too much last week, so we gotta walk that back a little bit. walk it back. Come on. Okay, yeah. Previous scene, RWBY and Weiss. Oh man, it's the screen cap. I didn't even put up a poll in the Discord. Nope. No poll necessary. It was auto screen cap. So, although really it should have been the screen cap should have been that gorgeous final scene, but I was distracted by the white rose and RWBY puts a hand on her shoulder. Gonna give that space and says, I
thought you were lost for a second.
I'm gonna give it time to breathe here. It's such a big moment. I was like, yes. And she says, we won't leave your side for a second. We'll find a way to Atlas together. And Weiss smiles at her.
Was that in question, though?
No questions. But Weiss is extremely vulnerable for the past few seasons. She's abandoned by her entire family except her butler, and says, she really had no one, and is just very like vulnerable and like emotionally laid bare, and like RWBY's reassuring her, like, I'm with you. She says we, but in my mind it's I, and I won't leave your side, and we'll find a way there together. We're not gonna send you back to those people, you know.
No, it was very sweet.
Yeah. I was and the reason why this is like, I think this is maybe the best white rose scene in the show is because I was unsatisfied with previous scenes between them this season in that they didn't get into any emotional content, like them walking together in the house. I was like, why are they talking about beans and nonsense? Like, just like have some sort of substantial conversation. This was substantial content for the two of them that I've been craving, and regardless of any romantic connotations, these two are very important to each other and partners, and this is like very necessary content to have some sort of emotionally substantial backing to their interactions.
Agreed.
Yeah, this was fantastic. You liked it, Andy?
Oh, I liked it. I liked this scene a lot. And I also really liked. Was it after or before that she stood up for Blake? Like Weiss just really stood out.
Before
at the beginning of this episode. Before it, like Weiss just really stood out at the beginning here.
She's very good here.
The whole team is just so good now. Like, I don't know. Like, it feels like the writing team just really realizes that we just want to see Team RWBY be Team RWBY.
Yeah, no, I genuinely think they realize that, yeah.
Yeah, because every time any one of them speaks, it's like, oh, where have you been all this time, Blake, Yang, and Weiss? I've missed you so much.
Yep, they're I guess Yang didn't do a ton here, but, you know, they've all had great content. Yang stood out previous episodes. They've all had great content. Here this season, yeah. So let's talk about this beginning scene with the base, the Alice base. They're trying to get past the gates. We have these twin soldiers.
They were very weird.
They talk in unison. They say things like wit and tenacity about the Carolyn. I think that was their funniest line when she says that. Hayley, what did you think of the two of them? Did you like them? Find them funny?
They were whatever.
They were whatever. Okay, Rip.
Yeah, I didn't care much about them. They were really odd.
They're odd, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they were fine. I think it was they made like a lampshading joke about it with Yang saying like, "What is your deal?" Like, yeah. I think that kind of lampshading is good. Like, just making fun of your funny like one-off characters. That's okay. But I mean, they're pretty forgettable in the end. I hope they don't show up again because they kind of overstayed their welcome. I think a little bit.
Yeah, I thought they were funny enough.
I think they were funny, but I mean, like, I don't think I needed more of what they did.
Yeah, I think they're at best backing Caroline. Like, I think that they're funny, like, in support of her. I think that was a good role for them.
Yeah, so they'll probably come back because I think we're going to see her again.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, okay, so we'll get to her. So, they say, we have a Schnee with us. Then they bring out their commanding officer. Maria says she knows her. What's the word for it? That was a good gag. Like,
I love her.
Yeah, and then, enemies, that's it. She's on an additional screening list from bringing outside cashews onto a flight. And
oh my God. This was such a funny bit. Like, it comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, like I said last week, I need Maria Life spin-off.
Yeah, Maria spin-off.
Because she just does stuff strong. Like this. Like, she just comes to Atlas every however many years with cashews.
What's a decade?
How many decades have there been? Yeah, like, I guess she was pretty young when she got
fixed.
the thing. Yeah, maybe it's been a few, but she's like, who knows? Maybe she's dead now. Yeah, like you said.
I love that.
Maria's just, like, living a sitcom, like, while everyone else is, like, trying to, like, live a shonen anime.
That's true. I like that description. Maria's savage and over the top, and it's fantastic.
She's just along for the ride.
Yeah.
It's great.
And then comes in Caroline Cordovan.
Again, keeping with the RWBY trend of making older people short.
That's how you know they're short, because
that's how you know. Yeah.
But this was also another fairy tale. Like, why do we have to do more fairy tales?
What fairy tale?
What is it?
She was the woman who lived in a shoe.
What?
Oh, because they say boot later.
There's other little visual gags with it, but that's.
People spend a lot of time thinking about this.
I missed it, but
really don't care about the
someone explained it on a thread. They explained exactly how it was a reference, and I'm kind of just done with it.
I'm not going to complain since the season has been good, but the mental energy put into the fairy tale stuff, like can we put this elsewhere, please?
I think it's just a gag for the creators of the show now. We need to make it happen.
Anyway, she's all about like Atlas pride and stuff, and they talk a lot about that. She says she has a great wit and tenacity, and the conclusion is Weiss can come, but not anyone else, and they close the gates again.
Yeah. Oh, also, I thought it was very funny. When like the camera moves a little bit, and then Nora and Ren are at the back and are like trying to hide from her.
Yeah,
that I thought that was funny too. I don't know why.
Yeah, so look, it's not like the scene was like the funniest thing ever, but
it was just like good one-liners.
Right, but like, can you remember a scene? Like, I can't remember a specific RWBY scene that was like it stands out to me for being funny. Like, I'm not even sure. Like, what?
No clue.
It's not like the show tries to be funny that much, so that's not really an insult. It's just, but this is like an addition to the show's wheelhouse. That's like what I'm saying. Like, this is another thing the show can do. Like, this, I think,
it's not a comedy show.
Yeah, it's not, but it can be sometimes. This was in addition to being a horror show, sometimes in addition to being an action show most of the time. Like crazy. This was a successful experiment, maybe with like kind of zany, over the top humor. It didn't hit every single joke, but I thought overall it was good.
Yeah,
but more. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, thanks. I was just gonna say, I feel like its comedy tends to just be silly and wacky, whereas this actually they had some funny, like legitimately just funny moments.
Oh, yeah, we get a lot of like RWBY reacting, anime reactions.
Yeah, exactly.
I like this type of humor better than that. Yeah.
For sure. Same.
And also, this type of humor doesn't undercut that they're actually still trying to do stuff. Like, the humor comes from their interactions, so they're still people trying to get to Atlas, and they're just trying to, like... But the humor makes it clear that this thing they're doing isn't too high stakes. Like, it sets the tone correctly for what we're doing here, I think.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, too.
It moves the plot forward.
Yeah,
it's like this is a big plot thing, but we're still pre getting into any finale.
Yeah,
stuff.
This isn't going to be apathy or anything. That's what this scene tells us.
What if Caroline is secretly in apathy?
What if she's a Grimm person, just like Cinder?
Yeah, she's like another Grimm baby. Wow.
What if everyone's a Grimm baby except for Team RWBY?
Wow. Man, that's the ending of the show. It's been a experiment all along, and they've been trapped in this TV show. Yeah. I don't think we'll see Caroline again, although I get because she's a new character model and stuff. I don't know. I guess we need to go back to the base again.
She's not going to be a main character.
I do hope we resolve this next episode. I don't know. Well, it was fine. I don't care that. Like, as long as it's good, I don't really care. So it's been fine.
I honestly have no idea when we're going to finish this, because like next episode could just be completely just dealing with Oscar and nothing else. But it also we could get to Atlas next episode. I could see either happening.
Yeah, I think that's the weird thing about this season is that it's so amazing, but it's amazing despite us having no clue where the season is going, which normally would drive me nuts. Yeah,
that's good.
But like, it's just good.
But like I said earlier, I think it's because we understand, I think, the thematic through line that's happening here. We understand that we're leading towards things with Crow, we're leading towards things with RWBY taking control of the command of the group, and we're leading towards things with Ozpin not understanding how to end this fight. And so even if we don't know the exact plot things that are going to happen, we understand we're going to get, or at least I hope, what we're leading to is payoffs to those three plot lines mainly.
Mm-hmm. And we can trust them to make good episodes too.
Yeah, and so it's going to be a fun ride no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a fun ride.
Yeah, which is great. I can't believe
I'm happy.
What is this show?
Yeah, so there you go. Hey, Hayley, anything else from the episode or final thoughts here?
No, we covered pretty much everything. I'm just so happy with it. It's just so delightful. Yeah, and I like this because it's not just pushing things like Maria or Silver Eyes or anything else just under the rug and ignoring it. It's actually continuing to talk about it, which is great. And in interesting ways and not just like exposition dumps that feel silly. Like this is it's an exposition dump, but it makes sense. Like it's a conversation they could logically be having, which is great. So yeah, no, A+.
A+. Wow. Mm-hmm. Okay, Andy, final thoughts on Dead End.
We didn't really talk about it completely, but I'm interested. I am really invested in the Crow subplot, and I'm really surprised by that because I wouldn't think that'd be the case before the season started. I'm really invested in them really saying like, hey, this is what Crow's doing is really unhealthy. He has a really bad mindset. He's an alcoholic, and we're really digging into that for once. And I'm really excited for that because I don't think the show has really done that before. It's really just been like, oh, he's cool. He's an alcoholic. And like, this is really showing Crow is kind of dead weight to the group in a lot of ways right now. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure 100% where we're going with that, but I'm interested to see which path we take.
We're going somewhere with it, which is good.
And I'm really interested to see which one we take.
Yeah, that's one of the clearest plot lines of the season, like through lines throughout the season so far, is Crow's descent downward into whatever we're doing with that. So I think the reason I think would kill him is because his doesn't seem like his story is going anywhere. It's like it feels like his story is kind of over.
Yeah.
Like why keep him around? That
being said, sacrifice himself.
Yeah, it would have to be something like a sacrificing himself because the expectation would be that he would be descending downward until he dies or goes away or something. So we need to subvert it somehow. So I think there's will be some little twist to it.
I still think that there's a chance that his semblance changes. Like I think that's something that we talked about and it hasn't happened yet. And this is such an obvious chance for that because we keep mentioning his semblance being bad and he hates it.
Yeah, that's true. I guess if we're changing his semblance, why kill him? That can't really do both, I guess. So yeah.
Or he could change it and then sacrifice himself with his new semblance or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would get both. Okay. Anyway, a lot of people are still on the Crow dying train.
I'm not sure he's going to die. I don't think that's necessary for whatever we're paying off here.
Yeah, we'll see.
He's always been on death watch, so like it's nothing new.
Just keep him there. Yeah, that's
just keep him there.
Keep him on death watch. Yeah. So enjoyed Dead End a bunch. Let us know what you thought of the episode, overlyanimated.com, comments, or youtube.com/overlyanimated. Leave your comments there. We do have a review of the week, but before we do that, I have a very important thing to get to, which
I forgot.
There's another teaser for Genlock, the upcoming, supposed to be fantastic Rooster Teeth show, before this episode. And Andy is the #1 Genlock fan. I have a quiz for him today about the Genlock promo that aired before the episode. So we'll see how three questions. We'll see how many he gets right.
Oh God.
Okay. So first question, Andy, what curse word is said during the teaser today? Don't say the actual word. Tell me like what letter it is. Okay.
I have no clue, Dylan.
What? This is the most prominent thing in the promo. You're going to get all of these wrong if you can't even get that one wrong.
Oh, Dylan,
I'm going to guess one that starts with S.
You think I listened to what?
Yeah, okay, Haley got it's yes, the S word. Haley got it. Okay, Haley won. And you didn't even watch it.
No, I skipped through.
Dylan, you think I listened to anything past realizing, that's RWBY's voice actor doing this?
Andy, oh my God. Andy, come on. It's notable. There's cursing in Genlock. Now we know.
Okay, ask me the next one. I'll get it right.
Andy has zero chance of getting this right. Here's the main quote from the promo. Fill in the blank. This is not a skirmish. This is not an airspace confusion. This is not airspace confusion. This is not a terrorist action. This is it. The blank is making their play.
Oh God, I remember them saying it, Dylan, but it was some goobly-gook word.
The reason why I'm asking is I don't know either.
I
couldn't understand them. What were they saying? I think union was the answer, but I don't know what they're saying. So that was
thought it would be enemies.
Enemies.
I think it's an alien of some kind.
It might be. Yeah, I thought they meant to say alien, but I really didn't understand what they're saying. Okay, last question, Andy. When will Genlock be premiering? You have 5 seconds to answer. What date?
Oh, January something. 2 weeks into January.
Nope. I need a specific day.
14th.
No, 26th. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was earlier. It's the January 26th according to this promo. So. Did they push it back?
Saturday? Wow, 14th is a Monday. I wasn't even close.
They pushed it back. Okay, so Andy is not ready for Genlock yet.
No.
Now we know that. Let us know what you thought of that. Fantastic. It was actually I don't think it was a good promo, but
it was like I don't know why they're doing this because like they keep like giving promos in front of RWBY. Anyone who's watching RWBY, I assume is just gonna watch Genlock. They don't need to advertise it for RWBY.
Yeah, I think the reason is just because RWBY is extremely popular.
I guess.
I would say Rooster Teeth's most popular thing. So they want to. The
free
show that they're
advertising.
sinking their entire budget into, they're gonna promote it before that. But
said, like it did look like their animation team is getting crazy good because even if like the Genlock teaser was confusing, like the animation is just really stunning that they're doing this stuff with such a small team.
Yes, I hope the fact that the Rooster Teeth animation team has been so incredible for RWBY, I does think bodes well for Genlock, and it does look visually good. So, we'll see if we cover Genlock. Anyway, okay, here's our 5-star iTunes review of the week. As always, our RWBY iTunes feed. Search for RWBY overly animated on iTunes. It's the one. The RWBY specific feed, not our main feed, is where we need 5-star reviews to boost our rating. And this week we have a review from Pinky Bit Insane Infernape, I don't know, and says, recommend to most, high level analysis on RWBY, very enjoyable. Dylan's crow impression is the same as his Luca ones on Miraculous Ladybug or vice versa. But other than that, it's a fun time. Now, how they talk for an hour at about 15-minute episodes and still seem like they have more to say, I'll never know. Thank you.
Skill.
Pinky, yes, we do talk for a long time. We won't quite hit that this week, but how dare you about my crow impression? It's very different. I think this must be someone we know if they listen to both our Ladybug and, but yes, those are probably my two most prominent impressions. What did Crow say this episode? He didn't say anything good enough.
No, he didn't. He said he wanted to get a drink, and then he left. Then he didn't even respond.
I'm going to go get a drink. Yeah. Okay. It's very different from my Luca impression. Those are Ladybug coverage. Very different than our
very different. Dylan has a lot of talent and impressions.
Oh yeah. Broad range of accents.
That's why he's the leader of Team Da.
Yeah.
Oh god. A lot of talk on our Discord about Team Da, by the way.
Yeah,
so
I'm happy.
You can,
good job, guys.
That's a thing now, apparently. Good job, Hayley. And you get overlyanimated.com/Discord to talk RWBY with us on our RWBY channel. Support us via our Patreon, patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thanks to our current patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Lily, aka Panda Lily. And thanks as always to our patron executive producers, John, Ryan, Steve, Alex, and Hugh. Then we also have Voltron coverage, which the three of us plus Jeff just had a podcast on Voltron. Find that at overlyanimated.com. Also Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse podcast review is up. If you're checking out that movie this weekend, RWBY fans definitely gonna like Spider-Man. Another big, I said that about Voltron, but it's just another action show kind of crossover thing.
If you like giant robots, that's the show for you.
There are robots in Spider-Man, yes. So
there are. Yep.
At least one. Are there more?
I think that's.
I don't remember, but go see the Spider-Man and then listen to our podcast on it. And there's other stuff at overlyanimated.com as well. We'll have end of year awards coverage because the nominations are coming out this weekend. If RWBY gets a nomination, which it's in the mix for some right now, so we'll see if it actually comes through with it. That'll be on the RWBY iTunes feed. We will see. No promises because I don't control it, but yes, check all that out at overlyanimated.com. Let us know what you guys thought. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.